And we are live, right? Cool. Hey everyone. I'm late, but I'm here. Alrighty. We are live. My phone says we're live. My phone says we're live, guys. Where are you? Alright, so in the meantime that everyone gets here, let me finish some stuff because it's been one hell of a day. A lot of stuff to do. A lot stuff to do, guys. Yo, how are you guys doing? Yeah, I can see Grant there. Hey Grant. Hey Grant. Did not forget about you guys. I'm here. I'm here. I'm gonna put my chat window over here because I'm looking over here all the time trying to read the messages, and if I put it over there, it's like I'm always looking away from the camera. So I'm gonna put it here. Hey Grant. And plus the weather here is, oh my god, so hot. So freaking hot. Let's see what happened here. How you been, Grant? How's things on your end of the world? Let's see, my book should be working. I was setting up some Samba stuff, sharing some files, folders around in Fedora's inside. It's asking me for a password since I okay, let me use different credentials. You're gonna be at SIGGRAPH? Cool, man. Yeah, sure. If you find me there, please stop and say hi. I'll be amazing, dude. I would love that. Huh. Hey, Paniruro. Paniruro? Paniruro. Adrian. Hello, Adrian. You're in Southern California? Yeah, it's hot there, man. It's hot stuff. Well, at least you have the beach. You can go to the beach and chill out, don't you? Alright, Windows doesn't want to accept my password for some reason. Paniruro, I haven't seen you here, man. Welcome, Paniruro. Thank you for the comment. I make cool stuff. Thank you. Hope I do. Trying to make Windows use my partitions is not working. Use my share folders is not working. Nope. I'll try that later. No beaches around. Yeah, that's what happens to me as well, Grant. Since Mexico is famous for the beaches, everybody is like, "Oh, you're in Mexico! Wow, the beaches are amazing." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm too far from the beach, sadly far away." Which is cool. It's alright. I don't mind. But I've been to the beach a few weeks ago, so it's cool. Adrian, are you all the way from Switzerland? Oh, so awesome, man. Cold in Switzerland, yeah, that's kind of synonymous. Cold in Switzerland. I don't know. Switzerland's cool. Felipe. What's up, Felipe? Fedora is working amazing. I'm not going back to CentOS at all. I'm not going back. My webcam is acting up, right? It looks weird. Let me see if I can change some stuff about that. It still seems a little bit weird. What if I introduce the freaking camera? It's so slow with this version of Weird OS. Let's try that. Now it's very small. Stupid camera. Now I'm gonna leave it how it was. Whatever. Okay. What is MS? Make Microsoft? Oh yeah. Yeah, stupid thing. Alright, so I don't have any plans for today. So I'm just gonna wing it. I was trying to I was planning to do something of adapting a tutorial from another application into Houdini, but I don't really have any tutorials planned that I could do that with, which should be, that would be cool to actually, because I do that a lot actually, adapting tutorials to Houdini stuff. I watch tutorials for other applications, especially hey, well, especially from cinema. I like cinema a lot. Hey Brian, glad you made it, dude. I like cinema a lot. It's an application that I used before, or even before I knew Maya. I started using cinema, and I really like it. And I tend to adapt stuff from cinema into Houdini stuff, which is pretty cool. Let me see if I had some notes for today, because sometimes I do make some silly notes, but seems like today I don't have any. Now I just have my note there, and no notes there. So if you guys have any ideas, chip them up, any questions, and I can just answer. I've been so busy with work, I even missed the 4 o'clock stream. Started late, so I'm dealing with a lot of stuff, since I have to finish some shots. I need to finish some shots before I go to SIGGRAPH and stuff like that. It's been pretty intense. What's happening with Houdini now? I can't resize the window, so that's weird. Okay, now it's alright. Okay, Houdini, you wanna play weird with me? Alright. Alright, so I wanna show you guys something that I need to restart Houdini because it's gonna be really small. Before I start with Houdini, let me just do something, guys. So actually I can show you what I did, because this is important for people that have high definition displays like I do, since I recently got one. Let me go to my desktop. Right, so you can see my desktop there. I'm in Fedora again. I'm not leaving Fedora. Fedora is the desktop I wanted to switch to after CentOS. CentOS is so solid, and it works so cool for applications, for 3 applications, that I never wanted to leave it. But Fedora is just amazing, so I'm not going back. I got all the stability from CentOS, plus all the new stuff, modern desktop with modern kernels and stuff, which is amazing. So I do this trick for, if you guys remember, I was having issues with the high definition display like 3 weeks ago. The viewport was weird, and it still happens to me actually in Houdini when you set it up to be high DPI. Let me show you. If you go here to this preferences, and yeah, general interface, in this guy, this globus UI, if you set this to large or high DPI, I have issues with the viewport. I don't know if it's just me, but I've seen other people complain about it. So I just leave it at normal. And what I do to have this size of the UI, I just use this variable here in the houdini.env file. So actually I make it a little bit bigger for recording, which is this guy. This size, I just made it 150, and that makes everything a little bit bigger. And I actually like it more like this since the high DPI makes everything so big, and I don't like that. I like my Houdini to be a little bit small so I can feed more stuff into my window or my large monitor. So that's how I do it. If you guys are having issues with high DPI stuff, try that, and it will make your viewport work exactly as it should, because it was working weird. So let's see if there's some questions. I've been wanting to make geometry with procedural things, like a line that has 5 columns, all different every time you make them. I'm not sure what you mean, Brian. If you can explain a little bit more the idea there. No one uses Redshift? What are you talking about? A lot of people use Redshift. What's Lindemeyer system? I don't even know what that is, man. Maybe I should first the L system. I never knew it as the Lindemeyer system. I don't think I'm ready for that right now. It's you have to be like in the mood for L systems, Adrian. Sorry, man. And about Redshift, I don't do much stuff with to optimize renders in Redshift. But what I do is let's put a light. What I tend to look for in Redshift renders, let's do something really quick. Roberto. So Roberto has no shader. Let's put a Redshift renderer. Let's put a grid on here, and just to have something to see the noise. Let's make this a little bit bigger, and a camera, and these two guys need to be merged because I made them in one thingy, so whatever. So what I do mostly for Redshift is just work with a light dome, depending on what I'm doing. But most of the time I just create a light dome to have my global illumination stuff. And then you can start. Let's make a material. Check this guy to be able to select it here. So just whatever material, doesn't matter. So now the things that I look for when there's no teapots here, man. Roberto, it's the king here. We don't like teapots here. So the things I look for in Redshift, let's make this guy higher resolution. So it's pretty simple actually to understand what you need to tweak for Redshift. Let's make this 256 so it's gonna be noisy. So we have this guy. Let's make it full res so we can see more of the noise, so you guys can see it, because if not, you're not gonna be able to see it. And render just a section. So we have a light right now, and we have some noise here, and Most of the time you're gonna, when you're using a light like this one in Redshift, you're gonna see, all right, this noise here is because of that light. So instead of going to the Redshift parameters here, to the samples, what I do first is I tweak the light, and I use this snap function a lot. So I can just say, I don't like the Redshift now saves every time to a file. I don't like that. Okay, so what I do is go to the light and start working with the samples there first, instead of going to the so that's my method that I do. So let's see, the light has some samples here, and it's 64. I took a snap of that. Let's multiply that by 2 or double that, and now it's gonna render that again, and I'm gonna see if that is actually the cause of the noise. And you can see right away here there's a big difference in this line. You can see this is the previous one, this is the new one. That's how you are just knowing that, yeah, this noise is because of that light, right? So if we see back and forth within these two renders, if we go here, that is actually, that's not changing. Maybe we made something else here with this noise. Yeah, that was the previous one. So is it changing? I'm not even moving this. It's not changing that much. So then I was wrong. This is not actually the cause of the noise. You see, it's not actually. But we're using this. Samples here. Whenever be aware that whenever you're using this IPR window, you're using these samples here, these progressive rendering passes in by default. So go to the IPR section, and you don't want to use that when you're cleaning noise and doing finals. You don't want to be using that just when you're tweaking things and moving around stuff and making sure your shaders look good. You want fast interaction, use that. But when you're not doing that, you need to turn that off. So this is just gonna basically be a final render. So now you can see there's a difference here. This is the actual final rendering that we will get. Now if I go make this, let me take another snapshot and make this go 64 again. Now it renders that, and you can see there is a huge difference in noise. So this is the default noise, and then this is the 128. So I know this slide, it's making scene noisy. So let's go to 256, sorry. So now you can see that renders pretty quickly, and we got rid of a lot of noise. This is a 128, 260, 256. So we got rid of a lot of noise, and we haven't even touched the samples here for Redshift, because you shouldn't actually. That's how I do this thing. I don't touch the samples until I need to touch the samples. So they might be other places where noise will be present. Now let's say that we are okay with the amount of noise here in the from the light, but now the shader, if the reflection is rough, now the reflection is gonna be rough. You can see now the reflection is rough here, and we should have a little bit of noise on that. It's not that noticeable, but let's maybe make this extremely noticeable. Now you can see there's noise here, and this noise is not coming from the light. This noise is coming from the reflection, and that's why the reflection has its own samples. So now if you just figure that these components generate noise, then you know where to tweak them and where to up the samples, basically. So if we're not doing any roughness, there's not gonna be any noise, because the reflection is not being blurred, let's say. But as soon as you do that, it's gonna start being noisy. Let's make it a little bit lower, because that's just unnoticeable. So you can see there's some noticeable noise here. So let's take a snapshot, and now let's up the samples of the reflection to something weird like 128. Now those samples just smooth out like there. You can see I'm zoomed in really close on the model so you can see this, but this is the previous one and this is the current one. You can see there's a huge difference there in the noise, and this is done. Like, this is okay. That's how I see it. Like, okay, this looks all right. That's my amount of samples for this. And then after I'm checking this, there will be a few things that will generate noise. And like lights should be checked, and you should be checking different. If you have a ton of lights, like hundreds of lights, then you just maybe go to the sampling override section and do it here, like override for every light here. You can see this is gonna override the samples for the global illumination light we have there, the dome light. Now it has 8 samples. I can tweak it here. And also make sure that if you are saying let's put like 16 samples, it might not even look better. Yeah, you can see nothing happened at all. Like, okay, why is this not working? Let's say 32. Okay, 32 worked, but why? Well, this is because here in the samples options we have a maximum of 16. If we don't go above this number, then nothing's happening. So this is maybe like like your lowest value here. Like, it's shooting 16 samples even if you are saying here override it to 8. It's not even. I'm shooting 16, dude. This override is not even high enough for me to consider. So just make sure that sometimes people go here and say, okay, I'm gonna put like 256 samples here, and yes, this is gonna make the scene look better. You can see it's looking better, but you're shooting all these samples plus the samples that if you make you're shooting all those samples for the scene, right? But if you still see like noise, let's say here, and you say, all right, I'm gonna put more samples in my light, let's say not here but in the actual light, and say, okay, the light has 256 already, and how much did I put here? I may just go and see. 256, let's say 512 here. It's gonna look better for sure. It's gonna look better because it's just sampling, multiplying everything for that by that number, so it looks better. But let's say that we are still worried about this noise here and say, all right, that noise should be coming from this light, and this light was like about 8, and let's say, which is the default is what, 64, and let's say, oh, I wanna make this light have more samples. Let's go over here, which is rendering first. Let's give this chance to render this section. Let me snap this and say, all right, I'm gonna put 128 here, and I'm waiting to see, all right, my shadow is gonna get better. I'm waiting for my shadow to get better around, let's say here or here, and it's rendering. But once it does it, once it does that, you can see that nothing happened, because nothing happened at all, because this number here is already higher. So you're already shooting like 512 samples. So yeah, like Michael is saying that. Hey Michael, by the way, hello. Yeah, so I don't think it's confusing at all. So just if you don't want to know what's happening behind the scenes, just think, if I don't have more samples than whatever is here, in that box there, then nothing is happening. So this is what it's making the samples work, let's say. So if you want more quality in your light, you have to go past this number. If not, it's not sampling more. It's not giving more samples to the light. But 512 might be too much for most situations. So again, I don't touch these guys unless I have motion blur or depth of field. Those are the times when I touch these guys and like make them really high. So the only times I touch these guys are I just make them just for standard renders. I make the 16 and 32 just to give everything a bump on quality. But you have to go in your lights and your shaders and tweak the samples there, and that's what I do. That's what I do with my samples in Redshift, and that's basically it for Redshift. There's no more mystery or anything. That's everything in Redshift works basically that way. So like if you go to the global illumination and enable, let's say, brute force, make sure to, and I make this mistake actually, and the Redshift guys told me, like, yeah, you're not actually having more bounces unless you have a secondary engine. So the primary engine, it's just the first bounce, and if you tweak this number like for ages, it's not gonna happen. Nothing's gonna happen until you have a secondary engine, like let's say the irradiance point cloud. So then when you have this, you have more than one bounce on your scene. So that's something that the Redshift guys corrected me. So now these bounces work. So now you can have more than one GI bounce here and stuff. But again, basically the raise here, it would work when you have like the samples is basically this, the same thing here. It's gonna just make everything smoother when you start giving it more samples here and stuff like that. So basically just think for everything in Redshift, just think about samples, and if your reflection is blurry or it's noisy, it's the reflection samples. If your transparency is blurry, it's grainy, it might be the refraction samples. If your lights, if your shadows are grainy, it might be your shadows, your lights actually, sorry. So it's simple. It's simple stuff. You just break it into components, and then at the end, if you have like depth of field, you do have to make. This is basically, these two guys are the samples for the depth of field and the and all the camera effects like motion blur and depth of field. So if you have depth of field and motion blur, you do need to make these guys a little bit higher to get that stuff to actually clean up. And in that case, if you have a lot of motion blur and you're getting these guys to be too high, then you can go back to your lights and maybe get those guys lower, because you're emitting a lot of samples already here. So that's how you kind of balance stuff. Brute force, you can use brute force, and brute force depends on what you're doing. Basically, I always start with brute force and irradiance point cloud, but I think the irradiance point cloud looks a little bit better than brute force for secondary, but it's just up to taste, man. So let's say that's the brute force and brute force. Let's do the point cloud. I like this better. So I think the irradiance point cloud kind of makes the colors look a little bit better. But yeah, it's up to taste. You can see there's a bit of difference there in the light. I like a little bit the kind of the contrast of the irradiance point cloud. So yeah, it's up to taste, and maybe up to the whatever project you're doing. So let's help my hey Kishaw. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, man. Kishaw, why did you delete your message? I saw the message about debris. Let's do that stuff, dude. Let's make Roberto again do some stuff. So I have this grid here embedded with Roberto. So let's do a grid outside of don't want to save. Let's do another grid here outside. Not a GI large, a grid. So let's just do a debris thing, which is something that a lot of people ask me about, and it's really simple to set up. So let's make Roberto crash here, and let's just fracture him. Shatter. There we go. Man, I should be using these menus more. I'm not getting used to those menus. I don't know why. So let's say Roberto, it's just broken there. You can see there is how many pieces? 10. All right, 10 pieces of Roberto there, and let's make him fall. Let's do these effects. Read bodies. Glued object. No, I don't want a glued object. There's no fracture object here. I want to use it, and then there's no fracture object there. Fracture object packed. So now this guy should fall, and it's not doing anything because we don't have let's make a collision ground plane. It should just fall like that. So now we have Adrian says waste a lot of time with irradiance. The irradiant point cloud wastes time. You can just not show the pass, and it's not that long. But again, it's up to taste. So now if you want to have these pieces emit something else like a debris stuff, you can just use the debris tool here in the where is the debris tool? Here, debris. So just select these pieces, which are, where are they? Here, Roberto. Select the debris tool, and Houdini will do its magic. And what it's doing, basically, it's creating these three guys, which basically creates a new simulation. Let me organize this a little bit. So I like to put my simulations like in this fashion, like this is like step 1, this is like step 2. Now if I just run this, now you can see particles are being emitted there. Let's hide the ground plane. Are being emitted from those. Let me select those. You can see there's the particles. They are being emitted from the edges of the pieces, and all that happens. Grabbing the edges happens in this node. You can see there's a debris source here. And if we go through this node, it's just a very simple setup that just takes the object and assumes that the object is packed, but could sometimes it's not a packed object. So Keshaw, if you're having issues with that, it might be that your object is not a packed primitive. So you can see here is a packed fragments, but if it's not, you can bypass this guy. So then here it just unpacks that and then removes any attributes. This will fail as well if you don't have packed stuff, because it removes the name attribute here. Then it just computes the velocity of the pieces here, which is, and then this guy is the one that grabs the edges. You can see there's edge debris thing, and this is an HDA. You can go inside and see what's happening here. It's just basically grabbing the edges of the geometry. Let's see if we step through this. There we go. If we step through this, you can see it's grabbing the edges here of the objects that have impact data, I think. I'm not sure if it's the impact data that it's grabbing, but it should be grabbing something related to that. So then it grabs the edges of that, and then you can control. You can see that this is not actually making any particles here. It's just putting points on those edges to emit the particles from. This should be particles actually, I think. What are they? Nah, it's just the sub solver, giving them some attributes to those points. So it just grabs the edges there, and you can actually say, give me more stuff. Or if you actually want to emit from the surface, like not just from the edges, you can make this guy go higher, and it will actually emit from the surface as well. Doesn't work all the time, or you just have to change the radius and etc. But if you change the radius, it's gonna emit bigger from the edges. The edges are gonna be like bigger. Right now it just makes them too big, I guess. You can see there's the effect. We can actually tweak it here live. And that's actually not what I expected to happen, but that's what happens. Then you can change a bit of your stuff here, but this is basically your source for the. It's gonna be basically the source of the debris, and then goes inside this node. So remember that we were go back. So we were at this node first, and then at this node, debris simulation is a second simulation, which takes that as a source and just gives them some parameters. This is just basically particle stuff, but you can see the debris there's going crazy, like, so that's too much debris, really. So yeah, that's how you do it. And then if you want them to collide with the ground, then you just, well, make another collision, or just add it from here. Fix collisions, ground plane. That will make those particles collide with the ground. You can see there are particles out there. And that's how you make your debris work with the Houdini tools. And you can see the particles look cool. The piece is actually leaving those particles behind there. And here you control the behavior of them. So this is gonna be weird, but let's do it like this. You can see this is the source, and then here you start emitting the particles here. You should be changing this. If you want more particles, like 10 times more, you can see I can add more particles there. I'm having a lot more particles there. If I want them to inherit the velocity more or less, you can change that here. Like, let's say they inherit a lot more velocity and they're being pushed around more. It might be like we might even could do this like into a smoke pass or something. You can make that. You can see it's flying away too much. That's too much simulation. Yeah, my dog is just barking because my wife just got home, and they are crazy dogs. I have 2 dogs actually. So that's how you do the debris, dude. So if you're having issues with that, just try what I did here, and it should work. I've done this for a bunch of stuff. So Michael's saying some cool stuff about the Radiance Point Cloud. Irradiance Cache, yeah, Irradiance Cache is different. I think Irradiance Cache is something like what V-Ray has. That's different stuff. I No more questions. I remember something, but I forgot now. All right, so that's about the debris thingy. Let's any questions? Let's see if so about Redshift. I think yeah, I'm on the latest version right now, which is pretty cool. I was gonna tell you about the new version of RenderMan came out, talking about renders 21.5. Is it here in the main page? I don't know. But yeah, if you guys are interested in RenderMan, that the new version just came out, which is pretty cool. I really wish they had the interactive shading in Houdini. Man, that is something I really miss from RenderMan. So yeah, RenderMan 21, better skin and materials, more realistic hair, improved shaders. They say this is still in the works for Houdini. And IPR is just like, it's not even possible. Oh, so there was another question. Sorry, let me go here. Brian wants to copy, stamp, or copy to point some geometry along a line or curve. How to control lots of randomness to the box for scoping, okay, let's do that. Yeah, Michael, this is because this is the actual core renderer. It's not the Houdini plugin. It's two things, like RenderMan. This is the core, the renderer, and the Houdini to RenderMan and Maya to RenderMan and all those plugins are different. This is basically releasing. They're releasing the RenderMan renderer. The plugin, they are developed separately. I guess this is why they don't mention any plugins. I think they mention Maya, but that's to be expected. You want to rotate a fluid container? Sergio, what's up, Sergio? So you want to rotate it after it's done, or you want to rotate it while it's simulating? Or you want to rotate it to behave in a different direction, like have different gravity, or what? I don't understand what you're trying to do, Sergio. So let's make a new scene because I miss Kim Jong. Good evening, Kim. And Orlando is there. Hey man, Orlando, what's up, man? I miss a few of you. Hired gun, hey man. You're planning of buying Redshift? It's cool. Brian Meadows asked about copying boxes to a curve, so let's do that. Can you add in smoke from your debris? Yeah, just select the particles and make them emit smoke from the particles, and then you can just make them, or just make them into BDVs and render them as volumes. Or there's volume for particles, nodes and stuff, Jason. Or you can render the old school way, which I actually did recently, and use sprites. Let's make the curve. Actually, let's make a curve. This draw a curve, and let's just do something like this, which is really ugly, like that. And oh damn it, I didn't want this to be crooked. And where's my node? I don't see any node. There it is. Let me go to the top view. Let's create a curve really quickly, something like this. make it a nerves curve just because. And let's copy some boxes to this guy. Alright, so let's resample this. We have a bunch of points now, and then let's make a box and make a. Let's use the new way. Or we can do both maybe. What time is it? Alright, 5:17. Alright, so we're just copying boxes to every point. Let's make this smaller. And starting with the size, we can just go. I've told you this a few times, guys. So let's just use the attribute randomize node, this guy, and now you can see you have different colors for. If you want that, you can randomize color. Let's leave it like that. It will look cool. Let's create another randomize, and this time we're gonna randomize P scale. Now with doing that, we have different sizes. So that's how you control size. So let's call this P scale. You can randomize size, and you can control these values here, which is gonna be which one is your biggest box and which value is your smaller box. So you can control that like that. Rotated while simulating. Yeah, you don't want to do that, Sergio. If you want to rotate a volume, a fluid, try making it into, like, make a box that it's what it's rotating, because you don't want to rotate a fluid while it's simulated. Alright, so this is how you do that, and then let's try. I'm not sure if the copy to points takes the up vector. Let's try it. Let's try this. Randomize again the up vector. Let's see if it takes the up vector to orient the boxes. Let's call this up, and yes, it does. Look at that. It's randomizing the. So now we are, let's say, Gaussian. We are. Alright, so we are saying that we want this up vector to be going up, but let's see how it would be. Maybe 360 here. Oh, maybe 180 negative. Yeah, that's kind of working. I'm not sure what I'm doing, so let's put an visualize node, and let's make this a marker of type vector and type up here. So that's the up vectors we're creating, which are totally wrong. Let's reduce these values. Oh, that's what I expected to happen, but let's see why some of these boxes are not rotating. They're basically just rotating in Y. Seems like it looks like that. Should be rotating in every direction, but they are not. It's weird, because the up vector should decide which way is up, and they should rotate according to that, which is changing here. Which doesn't seem to work, but it should. But if you just want them to rotate in Y, this is enough. But let's see if the normals work. Alright, so we can use the normals actually, just to rotate the boxes in every random direction. I'm just trying to make this really simple. I'm not trying to complicate this. Normals. So you might want to just calculate normals after the fact, so there's no weird black boxes at the end of this. But you can see you can rotate a lot of boxes, and you can just control these guys. So basically this is where we are generating these normals there, and the boxes are just pointing in that direction. You can see them, what's happening there. They're pointing in that direction. So, and the attribute randomize is just very simple to do. Cushion stuff. You can see the different ways to rotate this stuff. You can just use this global seed to make them different. Again, the same from the P scale. You want them to be different. The values you have there, you want them to be different. Change the different scales. Just use the global seed. They will change. And if you want them to be bigger, then you can go to the max size and go here and say I want bigger boxes, and you can have bigger boxes and all that stuff. It's working. There you go. Attribute randomized to the rescue, man. No need to for expressions and stuff. Brian, what else do you wanted there? I think that's everything you wanted, Brian. If you want to randomize the position, I will do, if you don't want to code anything, I will just do a point jitter. This is the simplest way. Just point jitter and reduce this value a little bit. They will have different positions just by doing that. If you just wanted to move them up and down, just I do this sometimes. Just like I just want in the Y direction. Just want to move them up and down. There you go. Like I'm just moving the values up and down, different values, and you can even use P scale if you do it after the fact. Like let's do it point jitter over here. You can use P scale and it will multiply this value by the P scale, I think. It's weird here. It's acting weird there. Not sure why. Like P scale is not good here. I don't know. It works sometimes. So there you go. You can randomize a lot of stuff. I didn't touch any lines of code at all. That was so fast. And I'm using the new nodes and stuff. I'm up to date, right? Hey Javi, what's up, man? Yeah, sir, you don't want to rotate that stuff. So, Panur, you're saying make a glass of water, fill it with water, make it full, crash into the ground and break and spill the water. That's not simple, man. That's not something really quick that we can do, but it's totally doable. Let's save this file. I'm gonna save this file because I got excited. Let's call this randomize copy to points. Wow. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it, dude. I'm gonna do it. It's not gonna be like what you're gonna be expecting, but it's gonna be done. So let's make this guy. You asked for it. I'm gonna do it. Glass of water. This is gonna be too huge. Let's make them smaller. This is gonna be so primitive, but it's gonna give you the basics, all right? So let's do polygon modeling and poly extrude, inset. Super simple stuff, okay? Don't expect this to be world-class simulation stuff. This is just a simple primitive glass, which I'm going to copy paste, and I'm gonna call this water. We'll give you the water glass. We'll give you the inside of how it should be done. So now let's make this. So I want this to be the inside, and I just want this to be a tube like that. And I want to scale this. I'm just making the water by hand. Alright, this is gonna be the container for the water. Just gonna put it down. It's gonna be there. That's my water. That's my water. Alright, so this is my glass with water. Alright, so now I want to make this guy fall, right? Because you want it to fall. So let's animate this in a null. Let's put a null up here. What am I doing? Okay, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna merge the water here. Instead of having this outside, I'm gonna put it here in this node. I'm gonna merge this. You made me do this, dude. You made me do it. I'm gonna create a group so I can later. This is gonna be the glass. I later get these guys. Let's make another group, and this is gonna be the water. All right, so I'm just got two things there, and I'm gonna use that one. This node, I'm just gonna delete it so it doesn't confuse you. So I have this guy. I'm gonna put it up. I'm gonna make it go like this, and then I'm gonna leave it there. Make this glass. I'm gonna make this glass an RBD object, and I'm gonna create a collision object as well. Let's go back to dynamics. I'm gonna create a collision floor, ground plane. So that happened, right? There you go. Water and glass shattering, and the water gets out of the glass and stuff. It looks amazing. Nah. Alright, so let's shatter the yeah, I'm crazy, Javi. That's what I do it. That's why I do this stuff. I'm crazy. So let's shatter this glass because we want it to be shattered, right? Object is already simulated, so we can't do that. So let's back up here. We went too far. Let's delete this guy, and let's delete this guy. We wanted to shatter this guy first, so let's shatter that. And I don't want the water to be shattered, so let's select this guy and then select the tool there. Let's shatter, if I know how to spell shatter, which I don't. And we're shattering the glass first and all that stuff, right? So now the glass is gonna go, it's not dynamic anymore. Fracture object, yeah, packed. Then collisions, ground plane. So there you go. Your glass breaks, right? But we have this water inside, which is over here, and I wanted to have the water here because I wanted to have water in the initial position. But let's create an out node, and let's call this water or out water. Out water. There you go. I want to see. I actually want to see this here, which is the actual simulation. But now we can create another node. Let's call it geometry, and now we're gonna call this water. I want to import that. I'm going really fast because this is a lot of stuff to do in the short amount of time. So if I'm going so fast, you just go and rewind the video a lot of times. So I'm just getting that water from the other objects and make this transfer into this object so it's in the same place. Now I have this water here, and what I'm gonna do is make these particles. Which one is it? Flip object. There we go. Flip object from selected. Did I click that? There we go. So now we should have particles inside. There we go. There's some particles, and this is not gonna be easy, but it's coming. It's getting there. Now let's go to the simulation, and now we have a mess of a simulation. We have the RVD here, we have the static here, and we have the flip solver here. And the flip solver has two little particles, or two few particles, but there they are inside the glass. If we simulate this, The particles are falling, the glass is breaking. Of course, this glass, it's making a mess before it drops. There you can see it's breaking before it breaks, basically. So let's go to the glass object, and we are selecting this guy. Yeah. So let's make this guy on the rigid bodies. Let's make the glue adjacent tool there so they stay together. I think I didn't do that. I was supposed to select something, right? Yeah. Glue adjacent is saying select the RVD objects, and let's go here and say select this guy, the glass, make it some constraint for it, and now if we rewind and play, it will stay and it won't break. You can see the water it's getting away from the glass and it's not breaking. So we just need to play with the glue constraints strength. Let's make it really low, which is okay. So it's breaking. It's with this. I always do this because I want to know if this is actually working, but it was too high. The force was too high. So now it's there, and then it breaks. Then there's particles everywhere, and then there's even some jumpiness there. So you can see everything explodes, which is amazing. But this is the basics of this, and let's make some more water there, and let's save this. You can see now the water, it's just breaking away the glass. It's too heavy. So maybe the water could be sleeping as well, but it shouldn't be sleeping, should be moving. But let's say there's too much particles there for this really light thingy. So the particles are breaking the glass, so we need more strength and in the glue constraint, or we can set the activation of this, or do whatever works here to control this. But this is the basic setup, and this you can just tweak until you get what you want. So this will be one way to do it. I'm not saying this is the way to do it. Let's say that this guy, it's gonna be like way more strong, because now the water is too strong for this glass to hold it. It's even, I think the water it's moving the glass because it's just taking it over there. I'm not sure why is that happening. I think the water is just going too crazy inside. But let's say maybe the water doesn't bounce as much. Yeah, it's alright. Maybe the glass, I'm not sure how the glass geometry looks. Let's see how the shards look, and they look okay, I think. Alright, now the shards are totally wrong there. You see, we have totally wrong primitives for those. So let's use the concave for those. That was why this thing was exploding, because of the your collision stuff was interpenetrating with the glass, and it was just going away quickly. But it still doesn't work as good, because interaction between things, it's always going to be weird. So maybe let's just say that the left affects the right, so I don't want the water to be affecting the glass. Still weird. Maybe some sub steps will work. Let's put it up to 3. And it's taking a lot more time because there's more stuff to calculate, but that's the idea. You can just put your water in the glass, make it fall with the glass, and then maybe you can, instead of having this geometry be there like already broken, we can just switch it at the end and make it do that stuff that that the water will escape from the object and stuff. But this will be one setup. Again, I just did it really quickly and stuff, but it could work. It might work. What I would do here is just make the strength of the glass huge, and then animate it back down to where the this is taking too long. But yeah, sub steps will be one way to do that. Let's make not too much particles because we don't have the time, but you should totally make tons of particles. So we could do something like really crazy number here and say, alright, so it's gonna crash at some frame. I'm not sure why it's moving like that. If somebody knows, let me know. Why is it going crazy? Let's see if we don't calculate the flip solver here. Let's say that it's gonna crash at that frame. Like 16 is the one that's touching the ground, is it? No, it's not. Alright, so I'm gonna animate this here, and the next frame I'm gonna just make this 1. So it's gonna go like that, and then it doesn't. Oh, this is something important when you're animating stuff in DOPS. Like, I animated this control, but it's not doing anything. That is because this controls when this value is set. So this is basically like a safeguard for DOPS. Like, you don't want the data to be read every time, so by default it's set at the start of the animation or the simulation, and then it's just like, alright, I'm gonna keep this strength forever. But if you leave it to set always, it's gonna read every frame is gonna read the value from this. So basically, if you have animation, you want to set it to always. If you don't have animation, just set it to default or set initial. You can see that it's working, it's staying together, and then it just breaks there. So one trick we could do, it's say creation frame is 1. Yeah, the water is making the glass go weirdly crazy. I don't know why, but again, it's let's say, where's the, say no bounciness, let's make the density higher so it doesn't get moved by the water. Whoa, what is it? I think it falls really fast, or what did I do? I don't know. Yeah, the water is making it go weird. Let's make the density more. So there we go. It's not being moved by the water now, and bloop. There we go. It works. Just made it more dense so the water doesn't move it as much, because it's trying to move it. But there you go. It's working. You just have to figure out a little bit more interpretation, which will be sub steps maybe, because the glass is gonna be thin walls, so just need to check the interpretation of those water of the glass walls there. So let's do it with more water, and this setup will be good to advance and move on. You can see it, there we go. This works. Water comes out of the glass, and it's traveling with the glass, and worked way better than I expected. You see, it's inheriting the velocity from the glass, I think. But yeah, just a matter of tweaking some parameters to get the water not to get out of the object, or even clip it. That's something that you can do as well. Just clip whatever is escaping. Alright, so there it is. And cool. Right, more particles make it more unstable, so we can go and make this even have more density and just not be moved by the glass, by the water. And I think this is solid. For real, man. I should make a tutorial about this. Look at that. It's working. I should make a tutorial about this. Alright guys, Brian has another question about placing the stuff in another terrain mesh. Just use the raise up, man. The raise up would project your curve into the terrain. I'm gonna save this guy. Let's open the copy the points thingy. Let's create something great. This is the last one, alright guys? This is the last one because I need to go. Alright, so let's make this terrain smaller and give it some mountain noise, which is my favorite ever. So let's say I'm gonna add more stuff here, and yeah, that works. Let's say you want to project those guys into there. Let's move this up. Just I'm gonna project the curve here, so I'm not gonna project the nodes. So that's gonna be like some homework for you, Brian, if you want to do that. So object merge, I'm just gonna merge the grid, which is gonna be the floor. I'm gonna move this guy up so it's away from the floor, and then I'm gonna use a raise up and say wish primitives and collision primitives. So this is the collision primitive and this is the ray primitive, and now I should actually use the resample one. Now you can see that thing is matching with the terrain, and if you just plug this into the network, all that stuff is gonna be on top of the terrain. If you go out, that stuff is on top of the terrain. Now some stuff it's penetrating because some stuff is bigger than some other stuff, but if we just do the polywire thingy to this guy is on top of the terrain, and this area is weird. I don't know why. Did we do the into this object? No, we didn't. So there we go. Sorry for that. So this guy is on top of the terrain totally, but here some of them will interpenetrate because some are small, some are big, and stuff like that. So if you want it to be all these cubes be on top of the terrain, then you need to put every cube from the position of the curve upwards. But that will be homework for you, Brian, if you want to do that. Alright guys, that is everything for today. We did a lot of stuff. I like that breaking glass animation stuff. Let's see. Diogo Double Santos. Pass alembic animation to a cloud sim. If you have a cloud something animated with alembic, convert it first before you pass it to cloud, because alembic primitives it's just not are not gonna be computed. So just go to wherever your alembic stuff is and then put a convert node. So that will make it into Houdini live geometry. We'll make it into polygons, and then it will collide with clouds and stuff like that, Diogo. Alright, guys. Hey, Sergio, no. I'm not a genius, but thank you for that. Alright, Jerome. Hope. I even can't sleep. Alright. Maitland. Alright, guys, so this is gonna be it for today. Glad you liked the bunch of small tips and tricks that we did. I'm gonna have to go back to this video and see everything we did, because we did a lot of stuff today. I should make some of this stuff, we'll make it into smaller tutorials maybe, so people don't have to look at the whole thing to do some of this stuff. Alright, guys, thank you guys for being here. I'll see you guys next week. Next week I'm gonna be at SIGGRAPH. Let's see if I can stream from there. That'll be good, right? Streaming from SIGGRAPH. I'll try to do it. But my phone sucks. My phone is just terrible. So, alright, guys, thank you. I will see you next week. If I can stream from SIGGRAPH, if you're not, I will. If any of you guys are there, find me and say hi. That's it. Thank you again. I will see you in the next one. Let's keep learning together. Cheers. Let's find that button again.